now I want to get into the Mexican food history. Why? Because it's really important for us to understand where this comes from. Uh, we have a lot of, still nowadays, a lot of pre-Hispanic heritage bonded and linked to what and how we prepare. I'm pretty sure you've seen these type of stone mortars that are the molcajetes, where basically this is all from indigenous times. We can see the molcajete, which is a little like clay, the stone pot, and the metate, which is basically a grinder for all your cereals and chili peppers and all the things that you can find here. And why is this? Because it's not only because of the techniques that are still on nowadays, but a lot of the diet in Mexico is still very, very, very strongly bonded to our pre-Hispanic times. Why? Because Mexico has always been, and this is Mexico City, what I'm showing here, but in general, most of Mexico always relies on the climate, and it's for it to get its crops and it's basically everything they can eat. But what happened in Mexico City, particularly, they trumped this idea of the weather because they built the city within a lake. And in this lake, basically what they did is that they created a system to plant their crops that would be ongoing, like that would be watered in an ongoing way. These were the chinampas. Basically, what happened is that Mexico City is now in a lakes because this is what was happening. They would put some sticks on the sides and plant some trees that were usually ahuehuetes, which are cousins to the willows, because these grow in swampy areas. And then in between, they would just put a lot of dirt, and they would start building they would start planting their crops. And they had this idea a little bit, if we think of it in contemporary vocabulary, it was a little bit of a permaculture thing going on. Why? Because they base their crops in a triad that still till today is very much known of what we eat in Mexico. So this triad is basically corn, beans, and we'll call it squash or pumpkins. So maíz, frijoles, y calabaza. Calabaza for us can be squash or pumpkin. And these three would grow together and help each other grow within the system of the chinampas. That's why all the time we would have this system in Mexico City. But then again, this was also the diet that was eaten in other regions. We might some people include in this triad the chili peppers. Obviously, yes, but that's mostly seasoning. Even back in the days, it's not necessarily a food that you would eat. So this is the what we base it. And if you think of it, still today, everyone eats tortillas. We're always known for eating our beans. Perhaps squash is something different, but I'll show you in a little bit what you can find from squash that is very, very much eaten every single day here in Mexico, still till today. So this triad, as I was sharing with you, helped each other throughout the crops, like the systems, because they would help each other they wouldn't have to change the crops every other after they I don't know, they picked the corn or something, because the soil was still very fertile because they were helping each other. So this is something that is very that made basically Mexico City grow and be such a huge city by the time that the Spanish were here. So because they had their crops and they had their basic needs covered because of this, and they were in the middle of a lake. So if you want to think of it, why did, for instance, castles have moats around them to protect themselves? That's the same thing that happened in Mexico City with the Aztecs when they came here. Because we have to remember that the Aztecs were not originally from here, but they came and built their major settlement here in Mexico City. But for that, I'll invite you to go and take another lecture, another tour, because that's really interesting, and it's not for this time right now. So another thing that I want to share is that the pre-Hispanic markets, and we were always really very, very commercial. So the trade in Mexico was very, very strong. We would have people coming from everywhere from the coasts to Mexico City. They would be coming from the highlands. They would be coming from the rainforest to share their and trade their crops here. So even ever since the pre-Hispanic times, markets have been a great deal and a great a meeting point for everyone in Mexico. You can still find it here nowadays in Mexico City. Every single area or neighborhood has their proper market, and they always have what we now would probably call like farmers markets. But really, we have never had farmers markets because we've always had this type of like on and off markets from local producers. So for us, these are called tianguis, and they usually are always somewhere in the neighborhood once a week. And you might find this during a visit in Mexico City and other places of Mexico, because this is a very common way to keep on doing. And usually those are great places to go eat some street food if you're not afraid. But I'll give you some pinpointers in a while. Then I want you to think of all the local ingredients that Mexico gave to the world. What happened here is that we don't kind of think about all the things if we don't go back in this historic path of what came from where. So something that's really, really interesting, and I would like to emphasize here is, for instance, we think of Italian food and basically like pizzas and pastas and everything with tomato sauce. But if it wasn't for Mexico, where this ingredient came from, Italy wouldn't have had that. So all of this time that Mexico was producing tomato, and I put here the ones that come from local words, which is jitomate, tomato, chocolate, chocolate, and avocado, aguacate. I put down there the meanings of what these mean. Basically, it's a fat fruit with a navel. That's what jitomate means. Bitter water is what chocolate means. Choco and atl is water. And aguacate, that means testicle. We'll leave that for another moment. But just remember the form of the avocado, and you'll figure out where that comes from. But just for you to have an idea of what, and the richness and vastness of what this trade did, mostly in pre-Hispanic times, but then obviously this is going to carry on and continue all the way till contemporary times, because globalization has been happening forever. And in Mexico, we'll see in our next slides where and what. But from this moment, I want you to think of some recipes that we still find today, and you'll still find them a lot. For instance, in the United States, you'll always find tamales. Tamales are a pre-Hispanic recipe that we follow on today. It's not most likely not the way that we do it, because they're done a lot with lard nowadays. We didn't have any type of cattle back in the days, but we did have tamales, not the original recipe, but that's what we had. And pozole. Well, tamales, for those of you that have never had it, it's basically a corn dough that's filled with some different types of stuffing. That's usually nowadays that we do put with green sauce or red sauce and different types of meats and mole or different. So you just fill them out, and they're steamed. Then pozole is a hominy corn that you do in a kind of broth, and usually it was done with turkey broth because we did have turkey. And then it's nowadays in the contemporary way we do it. We dress it up with lettuce, radish, and oregano. But all of these recipes come from a very pre-Hispanic time. And I want for you to think of this, because they have changed, but the origin is actually very, very rooted in where they come from. So this is just for you to have an idea of how many other tortillas obviously come from pre-Hispanic times, and all these things that you'll probably see. And then for you to think that this is not something that was built contemporary. It was something that is very rooted in our, it's basically our roots in our eating history.